So we're finally here. Let's talk about the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
It hurts. It hurts to hear that.
Just
because I knew my Patriots were so close and Brady fumbled.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And honestly, I don't want to put it out there to make Eagles fans mad, but if he didn't fumble, Patriots were probably going to win that game.
Yeah, if he caught that one ball, they might have won that game.
They might have.
I mean, it was a very close game. It was a fun game. I think Eagle fans. Again, you didn't want it to be a blowout. I mean, it was like that was a good game. We got it.
It was awesome.
We got a fun one. I don't think fans are too upset, especially not Philly fans, because they won.
Yeah, and it's fun to see a team win that doesn't win. Did you see the story about the flea flicker?
No.
There was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. With the woman that worked with the team, and she would take notes, and she would always say...
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, she would always ask, is the flea flicker going to be in the play call this week? No, not this week. And finally, flea flicker
is that the one that Chip Kelly fired too?
Yep.
This is the important stuff about the Philadelphia. You guys are a good team. We don't care about your actual team.
You guys are good.
I mean, yeah, and then they gave her a Super Bowl ring. That was nice.
Yeah, it was a cute little, fun, feel-good story, for sure. Some fluff pieces in the offseason, because when you're a good team like the Philadelphia Eagles, you don't have that much to talk about because people are just going to say, Philadelphia Eagles are good.
Well, and the biggest question mark is like, will we trade our backup quarterback? Because we have two quarterbacks, one that won us a Super Bowl and one's that our number one draft pick that was almost an MVP.
A backup quarterback MVP and a number one starting quarterback that would have probably won the NFL MVP if he was there. But, honestly, when it comes to Philadelphia Eagles, the actual questions are really things like injuries. Tim Jernigan, surgery for a herniated disc. You have Brandon Graham, who's been in an ankle, a boot for his ankle surgery. Let's see. We got some players that have left. Let's see, like guys like I just lost my notes, but Bo Allen, Vinny Curry. These are important.
Pat Robinson.
Yeah, these are important things because of the fact that you're looking at what was dominant last year. They had a great defensive line, but we also are losing parts to that. Now they're going to get guys like Richard Rodgers. They're signing Paul. Worley Lowe is what it looks like to me, but I probably pronounced it wrong because I'm bad at that. But Mike Wallace is a good addition to this team, a guy who's had a lot of success in the past and then had some lesser success as well. But this is also a team with some losses because people are going to pick apart that, and when you win a Super Bowl, people want big money as well. They're not bringing back Brent Selleck. They're not going to bring back Daryl Worley. They do get Haloti Ngata, which I really like that as an addition. And then one thing that is really kind of, I don't know if I like it or not, Michael Bennett from the Seahawks. I'm not sure if I like that pick. Well, that little deal is or not.
I'm not too mad about it because let's look at their defensive line, and I mean they're pretty much set already at their first four. I mean they have Brandon Graham, they have Fletcher Cox, they have Derek Barnett, they have Timmy Jernigan, and then and one big thing about their defense last year was they were able to rotate in four, so
which they can still do.
Yeah, and you're still. I mean, Michael Bennett might not be your starter, but he's at least going to get snaps, and I think that's something where he's got to kind of work for it, and I like that because he's going to be working against with Chris Long. He's going to be working with Michael Bennett, and even though Michael Bennett's kind of an asshole off the field,
and that's
or even
a little
on
bit
the
more
field
of
too,
what I'm worried about.
He's still good.
Is it going to be kind of more locker room issues? Because this team, I mean, this was a team that gelled. Together so well, in fact, that they got uninvited from the White House because literally none of them, besides like 6, were going to show up.
Let's not bring up politics because we know someone's going to jump in.
So well is what the point is, to where it was almost hive mind like.
Yeah, and that's one thing too that I think it might actually benefit Mike Bennett too, because I think Pete Carroll really let those personalities flourish. I mean, that was one thing that was great about the Legion of Boom, was that these guys had personalities. They were trash talking. They were really brash on the field. Philly, while they do a lot of talking on the field, and I think they're going to let their play talk for them. I think having that hive mind might be good for a guy like Michael Bennett, because if he talks out, it's 52 other guys going up against you. Instead of letting that kind of culture flourish and kind of culture. I think having the Eagles, where you're going to have everyone for the team rather than everyone for yourself, where it was in Seattle, I think that's going to be the biggest thing for Michael Bennett, which, again, he's still a great player, and that might be the most beneficial to him, is at least kind of having a team that negates his personality.
Yeah. When it comes to the draft, I mean, they didn't have an opportunity to do too much. I mean, they had their second round pick, Dallas Goedert, and then they didn't pick again until the 4th round.
Yeah.
So that is great, though, in the sense that, with guys like Trey Burton leaving, I just knocked down my water bottle, Brent Selleck no longer with the team. These are, this is a nice replacement. I mean, you're probably getting your number 1 tight end here who you can really rely on.
I mean, you still got Zach Ertz, too. So, I mean, that's one thing is you really don't need he's a guy that's going to be developing, and they do run some two tight end sets where he's not going to be a guy that you need to rely on. He can be a guy that's at least going to work in small bunches.
Yeah.
He's going to get his snaps in, but he's not going to be a guy that needs to step in for a Super Bowl champion.
And that's the thing, because this Philadelphia Eagles offense has really good pass catchers, but the thing I like about it a lot is that you don't have Des Bryant out there. You don't have your absolute way better than everybody else type of guy. Aguilar, Wallace, Alshon Jeffery.
Do we think Alshon could be that guy? Because, I mean, he had a really good season last year.
He did, but it wasn't statistically. It's not like he blew everybody out. I mean, he was like, what, 800 yards, I think is what he was?
I think he got over 1,000, right?
No,
it was very close.
789 is what I just pulled up.
Or he was on
pace
year for 1,000, and then Foles came in and he just kind of fell off a cliff.
Which is very true. I mean, we do need to put the note of Nick Foles. There was transition time with Nick Foles, for sure.
I mean, the last 2 games he had 0 yards and then 8 yards. So, I mean, in the first 13 weeks, really until that Carson Wentz game at LA, he had 732 yards and had 8 touchdowns. So I mean, he was a guy that really had a good season. And
he did
per 16 games using those numbers. He had 900 yards, 10 touchdowns. And I mean, we love Alshon here. Alshon was a fantastic pickup for the Bears.
I'm glad he won a Super Bowl. I wish he didn't do it immediately after leaving the Chicago Bears, but
and he guaranteed that they were going to win it.
He did.
But I think.
But I don't
Carson Wentz
that
for a full season, I think, or possibly a full season, close to a full season, will really be a benefit to him, because even in the playoffs when Foles took over, he came back and had 61 yards, 85 yards, 73 yards, and had 3 touchdowns. I mean, he was really good in the playoffs too. I think Alshon could still be a game changer. I
don't really use that as a knock, though, the fact that he didn't stand out too far above everybody else. Because to what I'm seeing that as is this is a team where it truly is a team effort out there. Carson Wentz can throw it to any of these guys and know that they will, in fact, be catching the ball, moving down the field. This team didn't have any 1,000-yard receivers last year. And, of course, Carson Wentz injury and all that too. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that's only room to go up further, move up more, but it's a team where it's pretty balanced. You can't just focus on Alshon Jeffery because you got Aguilar, Wallace, and Ertz there as well.
And I think one thing too is we see consistently with Super Bowl winners, it's not really who the star playmaker is, who's the guy that's consistently catching balls. You could still have Hall of Famers as your running back, as your wide receivers, but if your quarterback is the guy that you consistently say, all right, this guy's making the difference, that's usually the team winning the Super Bowl. I mean, let's look at Peyton Manning. He had Marvin Harrison, he had Reggie Wayne, both of those guys Hall of Famers, but we still talk about Peyton Manning as one of the best of all time. Tom Brady had Randy Moss, he's had Rob Gronkowski, he's had Julian Edelman, he's had Wes Welker, but we consistently look at Tom Brady as the greatest of all time. Same with Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben. Even though, I mean, Antonio Brown might be the reason why Big Ben's having success right now. Same with Le'Veon Bell. We still look at Big Ben as the guy, and Big Ben's still a Hall of Famer, probably a top 10 quarterback of all time. So Carson Wentz, again, maybe he doesn't need he has really talented players on the outside, Mike Wallace, Alshon Jeffery, Zach Ertz, and J.J. But again, Carson Wentz is the focal point. He is the main piece, and that's really the true testament of a great team. Not having a great wide receiver, not having the best wide receiver of all time. It's just making sure. I mean, even let's look at Jerry Rice. I mean, we consistently talk about Steve Young and Joe Montana, even though Jerry Rice was an unstoppable machine.
Exactly.
So I mean, you need to have that quarterback that again is going to be able to distribute it, so he's not putting that pressure and kind of letting you focus on one guy. So again, having Carson Wentz and having even I'll give credit to Nick Foles, having those guys that can really distribute the
Super
ball
Bowl MVP Nick Foles
to everybody, to everybody on the field. That's really going to make Alshon Jeffery step out, because when you need to go to him in big moments and make sure he makes that catch and he can catch a ball in the back of the end zone, he's not going to be double coverage because they know you're going to him. Having a guy that can really distribute around to Zach Ertz, Mike Wallace, J.J., Darren Sproles out of the backfield, that's going to be the biggest thing. And I think Alshon Jeffery can still be that game-changing playmaker. Yeah,
one thing that's important to look at, though, is with some of these changes here, I mean, LeGarrette Blount is gone, so he's not going to be there. Jay Ajayi is still there, and that's definitely a great weapon to have out of the backfield. But Darren Sproles, not quite the same Darren Sproles as he was before when he was younger. Corey Clement is the kind of, we just still don't know completely what we're going to get out of him. I mean, he shined when he had his opportunities, but just didn't get too many of them. So the question really, I think, if there is much of a question here on the offensive side of the ball for the Philadelphia Eagles, is this running game still going to be one of the absolute best like it was last year?
Yeah.
I can easily see it taking a step back, but when you're at the very top, of rushing offenses last year, step back isn't that big of a deal.
No.
They just need, a guy like Corey Clement or Darren Sproles to step up a little bit to help Jay Ajayi, because he's definitely going to need it.
And even Wendell Smallwood has been decent in the limited touches he's gotten. So I think, again, having those 4 backs can still give you consistent looks. And even then, I'm a big Notre Dame fan. They picked up Josh Adams as an undrafted free agent, and I really liked him. I thought he was going to be drafted. They ended up scooping him up, and we look at his last year with Notre Dame, almost 200 yards, or 200 attempts rushing the ball, 1,300 yards, averaged 7.3 carries per game, 9 touchdowns. He's a guy that can really break tackles, can really be a kind of a bruising back, and really show some speed. I'm interested to see how he develops and how he turns out as an NFL pro if he does get a lot of snaps. If Darren Sproles is able to stay healthy, though, you do still have 4 guys that can consistently rely on. And maybe Darren Sproles isn't the same Darren Sproles, but he's still going to be consistent and reliant. Yeah. So I'm not too worried. Even if Darren Sproles is like your 4th back, he's still a guy that's going to consistently
assuming
be able
he's
to
there.
get
I mean, someone's going to get cut.
I think it most likely will be Smallwood, though.
Probably. Just as other guys are kind of just, I don't know, above him in the order. The only thing I could see them maybe saying with Darren Sproles is if he just doesn't have it in him anymore. Yeah. Is really what it could be. For Philadelphia, this is such a solid team. They came on so strong last year, and we had some great showing in that rookie season, some great flashes out of Carson Wentz a couple years back. They still had the hard schedule that everybody else has. But my question I have to ask with every single Super Bowl champion that just dominates people is, do we see a 15-1 type of Green Bay Packers post their Super Bowl? Do we see them run the table? Because they were 13-3 last year.
Yeah.
They were not far from it. Can this team be the other team besides the Miami Dolphins, to completely run the table and just knock everybody out, maybe even get an 18-1 perfect season?
Well, and even that too. I mean, they were looking at possibly even only 2 losses last year until they had to go up against Dallas with Nick Foles, and they completely crapped the bed in Week 17. I think this is a team that can be really, really something special. I think they're going to be favored in every single game. And even though we talk about the tough schedule, having to go up against the NFC South, having even to go up against the AFC South, I think this is a team that's going to be favored in every single game. The only one that they might not be is probably the game at LA, and then maybe the game at New Orleans. Even then, I think they might even be the favorite against New Orleans too. This is a team defensively that they're so solid at every single level. I mean, we talk about that defensive line being able to switch 4 guys in and out, and still be able to keep the quality on the field. We look at the linebacker situation. You still have guys like Nigel Bradham. You still have a really good middle linebacker in Jordan Hicks. And then even we look at the secondary. Sidney Jones is a guy that has a ton of potential on the outside as a cornerback. We look at Ronald Darby. He's been so good throughout his career. And we look at Malcolm Jenkins really as one of the leaders for Philly. That defense is going to be consistent. They have depth. They have stars. They have everything you want in a Super Bowl champion. And then we talk about that Eagles offense with Carson Wentz. I mean, he's an MVP. So I think this is something where, again, we might see a 14-2 team. We might see a 15-1 team. I think the biggest question marks is, can they win at New Orleans? Can they win at Los Angeles? And how much will the division opponents give them trouble? Because I think this is a team that can go 6-0 in the division and just completely run the table and run away with this division. Because we've talked about the question marks with Dallas, with Washington, with New York. There isn't really that question mark with Philly. It's just how good can they be?
Yep.
How will they deal with the targets on the back?
There are 1 or 2 question marks being like the defensive line just had quite a bit of shifting, or not having LeGarrette Blount, so the offense or the running backs might be a little bit less. Those are such small little question marks because we're even in saying, will the defensive line be as good? We're acknowledging that they're still really good. It's just, are they going to be as dominant?
And something this Eagles team thrived off of was controversy, was being the underdog. I mean, we saw the whole dog masks throughout the season, and that's because Carson Wentz was out. They really were pushed up by having Nick Foles, weirdly enough, as your quarterback. How will being the guys with the targets on your back, having Carson Wentz...
You're not an underdog anymore.
You're not. I mean, you're a Super Bowl champion, expect to go 14-2, 13-3, 15-1 even, or possibly even undefeated, like you mentioned. How will you deal with that? I mean, I think that this team can deal with it fine. I think they're going to be, great. I mean, they seem like they're a really strong team. They're really well put together. Peterson looks like he has a fantastic system running so far with the Eagles. It's just, when it comes to the playoff time and consistently having the target on your back, how will you deal with it after going up against, Carolina, New Orleans, Los Angeles, Atlanta to start off the season? How will you deal with playing a tough schedule already and then go into the playoffs and have to do it again another time? We don't see a lot of repeats in football for a reason. What last team to do it was the Patriots back in 2003, 2004. I mean, it's been a while since we had repeat champions. The Eagles have enough to do it. I think they have the best shot of any team, and they probably should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl again. But that doesn't mean much after you go through a 16-game season, especially if Carson Wentz unfortunately goes down again. We don't really know what this team would look like, being the favorites and then also dealing with injuries and everything
can
you
hit
deal
anybody
with 16,
on your team.
Yeah, 16-game schedule.
Even something that might feel small, like you lose a linebacker or something like that, can create a big hole that other teams can go at.
Yep.
One thing that I love to look at with the Philadelphia Eagles is we just get excited about we're not Philadelphia fans, but I mean, it's just beautiful to see is this differential. They have a 10.2 point differential between how many points they score on average and how many points they let you score on average. That is shocking in the NFL.
Yeah.
To score 28 plus and to give up only 18, that is a huge difference. The thing that we got, I think, remember with the Philadelphia Eagles, it's very hard for teams to completely go out there and repeat and win a Super Bowl or just be as good as they were when they have a dominant season like that. But even if these Philadelphia Eagles are a 10-6 team, an 11-5 team, which many would consider kind of a down, from what they were last year, that's still good. That's still good enough to get in the playoffs. It's still good enough to probably win this division. They're going to be back. The thing that they have to kind of compete with, like you're saying, not being underdogs anymore, how does that change this mentality? Because this team had a lot of swagger. They had a lot of attitude. Can they still have that this coming year? And is it going to be like a Legion of Boom thing where eventually that kind of ate away at the team and made them less successful years down the line?
I think what's going to eat at them is just the fact that you're going to get older and these guys are going to demand more
money.
They're
going to want to get paid.
Yeah, and you're going to deal with salary cap issues rather than personality issues or even injury issues with Seattle. Because I mean, this team again, like we talked about at the start of the segment, that this is really a team. This is a culture that they have a lot of leaders. They have strong veterans on this team with compared with a lot of youth on this team. I think this is a really put together unit, and I think the biggest thing that's just going to go after them is the same problem the Patriots dynasty hit after, was just salary cap issues, and you're going to have to move on and make important decisions. Yep. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, and are you going to be able to handle it like Bill Belichick has done, be able to create a 16-year-long dynasty, or will this be like Seattle, where now we're looking at you and you might not even be the second best team in your division now, the way with John Schneider handled it. So I think it's really with the Eagles is we know they're going to – it's kind of like with the Cubs right now. We know they're going to have a shot at the Super Bowl every single year, but will they be able to do it? Will this just be an NFC championship team? How will they deal with being a favorites? How will they deal with the salary cap? How will they deal with making sure they keep having pieces that rotate in and add to your team? I mean, they did it so far. I think this team is not better than they were last year, but I think they're still on the same level because you're getting Carson Wentz back. You're adding Michael Bennett to that already great defensive line.
If anything goes wrong, you have Nick Foles there either to come in if Carson gets hurt, or let's say you need a wide receiver because you had two of them get hurt. Well, I got a pretty good Super Bowl MVP quarterback backup here that I can use as trade bait to get whatever I want.
Yeah.
you have
maybe
so many
they even
there.
go sign Dez if he's still available.
Yeah.
So I think they still have the ability to add to this team. And one thing too that we really didn't talk about is Lane Johnson was suspended for a large majority of the year last year. Now they're getting him back. So that's even kind of another addition, even to this team, is that you're getting your right tackle, a guy that's been a stud so far. Back to this team. So. Again, the Eagles, it's really what will they do? It's not the questions mark of how good they will be. It's really how successful will they be? It's really, can they just win the Super Bowl again?
And the hard thing for the Philadelphia Eagles is you look at the AFC and who might be in the Super Bowl. Well, you got the Patriots, and maybe you want to put the Pittsburgh Steelers in the conversation. But when you come to the NFC, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. We've got the Minnesota Vikings. We've got the LA Rams. We had the New Orleans Saints. You might be able to make an argument for the Atlanta Falcons, but I still think that Sarkisian's a bit of a question mark for that, if he can really be successful. But even then, you have double the amount of teams that you can make a very solid argument that they will be in the Super Bowl this coming year. So there's just more competition, and Philly will for sure run into at least two of those teams in the playoffs.
Well, and that's one thing too, is now this young Los Angeles Rams team has gotten better, both adding personnel, but also have gotten older. Sean McVay's now in his second year. Jared Goff's now in his third year. We look at San Francisco. If San Francisco is legit or not, now you're adding another team that we really didn't think about. The NFC South, like you mentioned, is horrifying. And maybe if Sarkisian's able to put back together this Super Bowl team, Atlanta might even be the best team in the NFC. Green Bay still has Aaron Rodgers. Detroit added Matt Patricia, which you think will help this team. And the Vikings turned from Case Keenum to Kirk Cousins, and this team's just going to get better too. And they have the pressure of your window's closing now. You just added a Kirk Cousins, and now you're
and that defense is getting older.
Yeah, and you're going to be going up against salary cap issues with that defense. So you need to start winning now. Philadelphia might be a team where they don't have that urgency because you still have Carson Wentz, who's only in his third year, and you already won a Super Bowl. You kind of took that monkey off your back. Not having that monkey off your back is going to at least, give you less of an edge this year, and not being the underdog is going to give you less of an edge. I think it was a perfect storm for Philadelphia. It might not be a perfect storm for them. It might be the perfect storm against them that really puts them away from winning another Super Bowl, because if you go up against Tom Brady after going through the hellacious NFC in the playoffs, you're going up against Tom Brady that you just beat, and you're going up against Tom Brady that's older, that really might be looking at as one of his final chances to win a Super Bowl again in his career. So it's something that it's going to be really tough for Philly to repeat. They have the pieces to do it. They have the coach to do it. It's just really, can they go against that perfect storm and really go up against the odds again and do it for the second year in a row?
The interesting thing for the Philadelphia Eagles, though, when it comes to these Super Bowl chances, these playoff chances, they're going to play the Falcons. They're going to play the Jaguars, the Panthers, the Saints. They're going to play the Vikings. They're going to play pretty much all these teams, and the Rams included, that we talk about as these other Super Bowl contenders. The only one they don't really play are, the Steelers and the Patriots. But in the NFC side, at least, which is important, they get to see all these guys once in the regular season.
I think that hurts them, though, because now, especially if you win that regular season matchup, that gives the other team the edge of, all right, we already saw them. We know what they do. Yeah. Now we got to get the revenge and beat you, and also you're the Super Bowl champions. I think it puts more pressure on the Eagles, because if you beat them in the regular season, you have to go prove it again. This is a team that you already beat.
It's hard to beat a team twice.
Yeah, you have to beat a team twice, and these are playoff teams that you're going up against. This isn't the fucking New York Giants. You have to go up against legit teams in the Rams. I think this is going to be something that's really going to be a difficult time for the Eagles to repeat. They have the pieces to do so. So it's going to be interesting to see, how they step up, how they come together, how Carson Wentz comes back from injury. Because if he's not 100% healthy, he might not be ready for week 1. If he comes in week 2, week 3, he's still not fully healthy, people might be being like, hey, let's throw in Nick Foles until he's 100% healthy. And you have that luxury, but then again, you don't want to kill his confidence. And Carson Wentz is still the better quarterback of the two. I doubt they would actually pull him, once they start him. I think he's going to be the starter, unless he gets injured again. But if they have that, that's going to be something that Philly media is going to eat up, that Philly media is going to be pushing against. And Philly fans, they just got a taste of a Super Bowl. They're not going to start being like, oh, it's fine. Philly fans are going to want more and more and more, and rightfully so. This is a team that can win the Super Bowl again.
And Carson Wentz, I love how when he's ever asked about it, he's like, basically, to paraphrase, he just says, Nick Foles knows his place. Is essentially what he's saying. He says it a lot nicer because Carson Wentz is a great guy. And, really, really great guy. Just look at the things he's done on the offseason.
Look at the way he holds a clipboard,
Yeah. It's great when he's holding that clipboard.
Leader. They won a Super Bowl when he's holding the clipboard.
You know what? That's the fact. If he holds a clipboard, they win Super Bowls 100% of the time.
I called him Clipboard Carson when he was coming out for a reason.
Yep.
Again, I might have been wrong that saying Jared Goff was a better quarterback, but I still said that he would be holding a clipboard in the most biggest and important games. He has a ring because he was holding the clipboard.
Exactly. But thank you, Sean, for joining us on the Onside Kick today.
Thanks for having me.
It was fun. I mean, I'm sorry that you had to talk about the team that beat your favorite Tom Brady.
It's okay.
But it's all right. And let us know.
We'll get him this year.
Hopefully, maybe for you guys.
You guys don't want that.
Yeah, I would rather not see yet another Patriots Super Bowl. But
do you want to see a Patriots-Eagles Super Bowl, though? Would it be better if it's a rematch?
The only reason I would be willing to see another Patriots Super Bowl is if it's a rematch. I agree with that. Or if it's the Bears.
Yeah.
Because the Bears 100% of the time
you don't care who they're going up
beat
against,
the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So we're good odds here. But let us know what you guys think about the Philadelphia Eagles or any of the teams that we talked about. Who's winning this division? Who's going to be at the bottom? Any of these people going to win the Super Bowl? Let us know in the comment section. Hit the like button, the sub button, so you know all the other ones we got. So far, we've only done the AFC East, so there's a lot more coming. So you definitely want to hit the sub button.
I do want to throw this out there, though.
Yeah.
Let's because we brought up the Bears Patriots Super Bowl, and we're not going to be able to talk about this because I'm not on the Onside Kick that much.
For sure.
Let's look at the Eagles last year. They had a second-year quarterback.
Yep.
He got injured. Hopefully that doesn't happen with Mitch. But who is the backup? Former Eagles quarterback. Chip Kelly system. We look at, or not Chip Kelly, Andy Reid system, Doug Peterson system, Chase Daniel. Is Chase Daniel going to be Tom Brady
He's
this
the
year
future,
as the back quarterback? Nick Foles.
He's the future Super Bowl MVP, Chase Daniel. Singular, Daniel.
One Daniel.
One Daniel. Head to mostvaluablepodcast.com. You can check out everything going on. You can get yourself an MVP t-shirt. It does look quite nice. And patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcasts, where you can become a patron, support the channel, but also be on any of your favorite MVP podcasts, whether it's basketball, college, football, games, nerd stuff. We got it all for you. And thank you guys so much for coming to check us out. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes and all those places where you can review us and let people know why they should listen to us. But we'll see you next week when we talk about, just continue on. I don't actually know which one we're going to talk about next, so it'll be a surprise for you guys. It's probably the AFC North or the NFC North.
Probably AFC. That sucks.
Because you really want to talk about the Browns?
Well, no, the AFC North is just boring. Steelers win. Wow.
Well, you heard it here. You don't need to tune in next week, evidently.
Come listen to see how bad the Bengals are and why they're going to keep Marvin Lewis again.
Yeah, but actually, there's some exciting things. The Browns are exciting this year, kind of. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks, or actually, no, in 1 week. I'm so confused right now.
Just end the podcast.
I will see you guys. I hope you enjoyed the NBA draft.